Solving equations with the zero product property. Write the following in standard form. Alright, so this one, when multiplied out, would become 3x squared plus 3x. This one, using FOIL, would be x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 6. And combining the two like terms, you'd get this. Here, we could use FOIL again, and we get negative x squared plus x plus 6. And here, we can multiply this together using FOIL and then multiply the whole thing by 2, and we get 2x squared plus 14x plus 20. We can also move the other direction and go from standard form to factored form. Factor the following. Here, we can take a 2x out of each term and put it out front, and that leaves us with x plus 2. Here, we can factor this into x minus 2 times x minus 4. Here, first we factor out the negative sign, just because we like working with positive x squared term, and then factor it into x plus 3 times x minus 4. And here we can take a 2 out in the beginning, just to make our lives a little easier when we're factoring this polynomial here into x plus 2 times x plus 10. The multiplication property of 0 states that a times 0 equals 0. The zero product property states that if a times b equals 0 and a does not equal b, then either a equals 0 or b equals 0. The substitution property. Let a equal x minus r and b equal x minus s. In any expression, a can be replaced by x minus r and b can be replaced by x minus s. Let's combine all of those properties together. So the multiplication property states that a times 0 equals 0. The zero product property states that if a times b equals 0, then either a equals 0 or b equals 0. And finally, the substitution property, where we can replace a with x minus r or b with x minus s. What does x minus r times x minus s equals 0 imply? Well, we'll put the two ideas together. Let's assume that r does not equal s. X minus r times x minus s equals 0 means that x minus r equals 0 or x minus s equals 0. Then we just solve for x. X equals r or x equals s. Solve x times x minus 4 equals 0. That means that either x is 0 or x minus 4 is 0. So x minus 4 equals 0 would mean, if you move this 4 over to the other side, that x equals 4 or x equals 0. Solve this. X plus 5 times x minus 2 equals 0. That means that either x plus 5 equals 0 or x minus 2 equals 0. When you solve for x, you get that x equals negative 5 or x equals 2. Solve. Factor first if necessary. Alright, so here, either x equals 0 or x plus 1 equals 0, so x equals negative 1. 0 or negative 1. Alright, number 2. We have that x plus 2 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. When you solve for x, you get x equals negative 2 or x equals 3. Number 3. We have 2 plus x equals 0 or 3 minus 2x equals 0. So that becomes x equals negative 2, and this becomes 3 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals 3 over 2, which is 1.5. Alright, here we have to factor first. So that's x plus something times x plus something. And 10 is 5 times 2, which do add up to 7, so we can do 5 and 2, which means that x plus 5 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. X equals negative 5 or x equals negative 2. Finally, we have this one, but look, we have a to the third power here. So, and there's an x in every term. So let's take an x out first. That gives us x squared minus 3x plus 2. Now we can factor this part, and that would be x and x. This is negative, but this is positive, so these are both going to be negative signs. And 2 times 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, so we have 2 and 1 here, which means there's 3 options. X equals 0, which is this x minus 2 equals 0, which is this one, or x minus 1 equals 0. So this one would be x equals 2, and this one would be x equals 1. So we have 0 and negative 1, negative 2 and 3, negative 2 and 1.5, negative 2 and negative 5, 0, 1, and 2.